Today is Monday, January 8th. What to know about another massive winter storm moving across the country as Americans work to dig out from the last one. Also, what happened on board a West Coast flight that ended up grounding a fleet of airplanes. Plus, a historic but unusual moon mission that has drawn some controversy. A big leadership shakeup at the NRA as a corruption trial begins. And which movies and TV shows won big at this year's Golden Globes. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Another big storm is on the move, bringing different kinds of threats to Americans across the country. It started with snow and rain in the Southwest and the Rockies. Now meteorologists are forecasting snow, strong winds, and even some blizzard conditions for the Plains, Midwest, and Great Lakes. Then the South could get severe weather, including potential tornadoes, and parts of the East Coast could get flooding rain. It's moving quickly, too. As of this morning, it's in the central U.S. and is expected in parts of the Deep South today and tomorrow. Then it should make it to the Northeast by Wednesday before moving out. This all comes just after a winter storm dumped more than a foot of snow on the Northeast. It also brought rain, snow, ice, and even a tornado as it tracked from the Gulf Coast to Maine. And a third winter storm system could be coming by the end of the week. So stay tuned. Two major airlines are grounding their entire fleets of a certain kind of Boeing jet after an in-flight emergency. An Alaska Airlines flight was midair when a chunk of the body of the plane broke off. No one was sitting in the window seat or the middle seat of the row where the blowout happened, and investigators say it was also lucky the plane was still climbing and the fasten seatbelt sign was still on. So in the end, everyone survived and no one was seriously hurt. Still, there were some scary moments. Passengers struggled to breathe until they could get on oxygen masks. Belongings flew away, and a boy's shirt was even ripped off. Some people on board have told news outlets the wind was howling through the hole so loudly that they couldn't hear the urgent announcements made over the PA system. Now the National Transportation Safety Board is investigating, and that could take months. But already investigators have said there were some warning signs, literally. A warning light lit up on 3 different flights, and it concerned Alaska Airlines enough that it decided to not use it for long flights over water, though it's not clear if that issue is connected. Investigators also want to inspect the parts of the plane that flew off, and they haven't found all of them yet, so they're asking people on the ground to keep an eye out. They also want any kind of video anyone may have taken. Alaska and United are the only U.S. airlines that fly the Boeing 737 MAX 9 that was involved, and they've both grounded them for inspections. That has already caused hundreds of flight cancellations, and many more delays and cancellations could be coming depending on how long the investigation takes. By the way, the MAX 9 is actually not the same aircraft that was responsible for 2 deadly crashes a few years ago. That was Boeing's 737 MAX 8. For now, other versions of the MAX are still in service. Boeing CEO says he and other executives plan to hold a meeting tomorrow to address safety. American Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin is dealing with some serious health issues and backlash. Secretary Lloyd Austin was admitted to the hospital on New Year's Day and spent some time in the intensive care unit. The Pentagon says he had an elective medical procedure in December, then started experiencing severe pain at home and had to be rushed to the hospital in an ambulance. Austin says he's on the mend now, but for a few days, he was actually in the ICU, unable to execute his official duties. And very few people knew about it. Not Congress, not President Biden, not even the Deputy Defense Secretary who assumed his duties. So now several members of Congress, the White House, and the Pentagon are asking why they were left in the dark, especially at such a crucial time as the U.S. gets deeper involved in the Middle Eastern conflicts. But President Biden says he still has full confidence in Austin. The Defense Secretary is back to handling his full responsibilities from the hospital, and he says he's committed to being more transparent in the future. U.S. lawmakers are returning to Capitol Hill this week, and at the top of their to-do list is a new budget agreement. Congressional leaders announced a bipartisan resolution over the weekend that holds up the deal made last year between President Biden and then Speaker Kevin McCarthy. But it's still unclear whether the rest of Congress is going to get on board. Since, you'll remember, the most conservative Republicans criticized that deal, and it was one of the main reasons McCarthy lost the speakership. And they've called the New Deal a total failure, too, since they want to cut spending way more. Instead, the new bipartisan agreement increases defense spending and includes the same non-defense spending hikes McCarthy and Biden had agreed to. But this time, those hikes are being offset by a couple of cuts, like it reins in billions of dollars that was originally designated for COVID-19 and cuts billions of dollars in new funding that was promised to the IRS. Now it's a matter of whether they can convince enough rank-and-file lawmakers to get on board. The House and Senate now have less than 2 weeks to formalize everything to avoid a partial government shutdown. Much more news still ahead, but first, support for today's episode comes from Green Chef. Anyone else hate that question, what's for dinner, when no one has the answer? Well, Green Chef might change your life in 2024. You can say goodbye to the fridge and freezer scavenger hunts or last-minute grocery runs or unhealthy takeout because Green Chef sends you everything you need for chef-crafted, nutritionist-approved recipes packed with clean ingredients that not only fill you up but also support a healthy lifestyle. I mean, just the other night, my family enjoyed Southwest steak salad with roasted potatoes, cotija cheese, avocado crema, and pepitas. My husband actually made this one on his own and said it was really simple, yet the end result was so impressive and delicious and healthy. The whole family loved it, and I could feel great about us eating it. Green Chef even has a new gut and brain health meal plan that are nutrient-dense and science-backed. In fact, Green Chef is now owned by HelloFresh, so it has a wider array of meal plans to choose from, and there is something for everyone. So go to greenchef.com/60newsworthy, and you can use the code 60newsworthy to get 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Again, that's 60% off plus 20% off your next 2 months when you go to greenchef.com/60newsworthy and use that code 60newsworthy. Green Chef, the #1 meal kit for eating well. Okay, now back to the news. Early this morning, NASA launched an unusual mission to the moon. It's actually the first American launch to the moon's surface in decades. But instead of astronauts, this rocket is carrying human ashes, personal mementos, artwork, and letters from children around the world, among many other things. NASA is sending its own scientific cargo, but there are a bunch of other customers like Mexico, Japan, Germany, the UK, and Hungary. And global shipping company DHL sold space on the moon lander for people to send their own small items to stay on the moon's surface forever. This is the first time that's been possible. And it means, assuming all goes well, this will be the first commercial moon landing. There is some opposition to it, though, particularly because of the ashes. The largest group of Native Americans in the U.S. asked NASA to delay the launch, saying it's an affront to many indigenous cultures that revere the moon as part of their spiritual heritage. The White House did have a meeting with the Navajo Nation about that, but in the end said it could not stop what cargo private companies decide to send. Now, NASA says it expects even more contentious moon missions in the future, as it does rely more and more on the private sector. The nation's most powerful gun rights lobby is going to trial today as its leadership team is crumbling. The National Rifle Association, or NRA as it's known, is defending itself in a civil lawsuit. New York's Attorney General has accused the nonprofit group of corruption, saying senior leaders illegally diverted millions of dollars into their own pockets to fund a lavish lifestyle. Letitia James described the NRA CEO, Wayne LaPierre, as the central figure behind it all. And the AG says he and 3 other current and former leaders broke several laws. Well, on Friday, Wayne LaPierre resigned after more than 40 years as the group's leader. He cited health reasons for his exit. Still, he plans to testify at this week's civil trial. So will another NRA executive who admitted to wrongdoing in a plea deal over the weekend. And as part of that deal, he said he would testify against LaPierre and others. The New York AG is trying to get them to pay the NRA back. She also wants them banned from serving in leadership positions of any other charitable organizations in New York, and she wants an independent monitor to oversee the NRA's finances. But the NRA is fighting this lawsuit. It has called it a political vendetta and an attempt at a power grab. The jury is expected to hear all about it over the next 6 weeks. A radio and podcast giant is dealing with such a steep drop in advertising that it filed for bankruptcy yesterday. Odyssey filed a Chapter 11 petition that will allow it to slash its total debt load by 80%, which is important since it's been missing payments. The company owns hundreds of radio stations and is one of the top radio broadcasters in the U.S. It also provides streaming through its mobile app and has a strong foothold in podcasting, digital audio, and sports betting, thanks to several acquisitions. Well, now that it has filed for bankruptcy, Odyssey says it does not expect there to be any difference in its products and services, and it plans to emerge from bankruptcy as soon as it gets approval from the FCC. Some of the biggest names in show business came together for the first major award show of the season, the Golden Globes. Among the night's top winners was the movie Oppenheimer, which won for Best Drama. Also, Cillian Murphy and Robert Downey Jr. both won awards for acting in the movie, and Christopher Nolan won Best Director. Another one of the night's highlights came when Lily Gladstone was named Best Drama Actress for her part in Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon. That made her the first Indigenous person to win the award. As for Best Comedy Actress, that one went to Emma Stone for her performance in Poor Things, which also won Best Comedy Film. Paul Giamatti and Davine Joy Randolph also won in acting categories for their work in The Holdovers. In the TV category, Succession scored the most wins, including Best Drama Series, Best Leading Actor Kieran Culkin, and Best Leading Actress Sarah Snook. Best Comedy Series went to The Bear, and the show's stars, Jeremy Allen White and Ayo Edebiri, won the acting awards. Of course, the Golden Globes are seen as a preview of the many more award shows to come, with the Oscars wrapping things up in March. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. This new year, I hope you let go of being a completely new you, if that doesn't work for you, and instead focus on what's going right in your life already. Give yourself some credit. Being kind to yourself, feeling grateful, and finding your strengths are just a few of the things that therapy can help you do. And I can tell you from experience that usually a side effect of those is that you become even more of the best version of yourself. Therapy has helped me figure out what is and isn't working in my life so I can set myself up for more good without any extreme resolutions. If you're thinking about starting therapy, BetterHelp is an online-only option that is convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Celebrate the progress you've already made. Visit betterhelp.com/newsworthy today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, H-E-L-P, betterhelp.com/newsworthy. Okay, now back to Money Monday. So here's your reminder to use those gift cards you might have gotten for the holidays but haven't spent yet. Tens of billions of dollars worth of gift cards still go unused each year. Last year, Bankrate found that 47% of U.S. adults had at least one unspent gift card or voucher with an average value of $187. So when is it too late to use the gift card you found? It depends on how old the gift card is and/or what state you're in. Under a federal law that applies to all Americans, a gift card cannot expire for 5 years from the time it was purchased or from the last time someone added money to it. But some state laws have even stricter rules. Like in California and Florida, gift cards to a specific place cannot expire, ever, with limited exceptions. It also depends on where you live when it comes to what happens to the money on unused gift cards. In some states, the companies just profit more. But in at least 19 states, like Delaware, retailers have to work with state unclaimed property programs to return money from unspent gift cards to consumers, or go to public service initiatives. If you want to check your state's unclaimed property program, you can search at missingmoney.com. All right, thank you so much for joining us and listening today. We'll be back with more news to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.